You are now listening to the Role Players Podcast.
Welcome to the Role Players Podcast, where we give you some of the sports stories that you might have overlooked or you might have just missed during the week. I'm here with Philosophical J, Mr. I-95 South.
What up, what up? Shout out to the Speakeasy Podcast.
Shout out to the Speakeasy Podcast. And, of course, me, B, Bobby, Mr. Sports Guy. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Breaker, which is home of Role Players, and a ton of other platforms. It's going to be a great show. We have something fresh down the pipeline, and somebody's new to the injury tent. Somebody's new to the injury tent, but it's somebody that has a medical record, man. He has a record. He has more records than James Brown. But Mr. Boogie Cousins, man. It seems that DeMarcus Cousins just can't get healthy. He can't stay healthy. Once he gets healthy, he plays 35 minutes and then he's injured again. And we're not talking about hurt. He's injured. Like, started with an Achilles, then it went to what, a quad injury?
Yes, it was a quad in the playoffs.
It was a quad injury. And then, now, a torn ACL during what, a light workout or practice?
I was going to ask you, like, what were they doing?
I believe it was like a light practice of some sort or a workout. You know, I apologize for not having all of the details, but those are not the details that matters the most today, because we're going to be looking at Boogie and whether he can do this thing. Like, you know, can he continue? But let's backtrack and go to where it all started. 2 years ago, maybe close to 3 years ago, Boogie was hooping. He was doing big numbers along with AD in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
They were the Twin Towers of the NBA. Nobody could stop them.
Yep.
And then down goes Frazier or Boogie. He tore his Achilles.
Boogie down.
Boogie Down Productions. That was a good one. Boogie Down, man. He went down. Ever since, man, it's been a struggle. And it started with that Achilles injury. You know, the Achilles injury, it happens in other sports, you know. It happens in football. Because when it happens in football, it's a big deal, too. You know, I don't just want to make this like it's only basketball.
Right.
But we're focusing on basketball because it's about Boogie. But when you get that Achilles injury in basketball, it's like the kiss of death. It's like the kiss of death. Because many doctors, many sports heads in the NBA, all of the writers and people on TV, they have come to the conclusion that once you get the Achilles injury, it's pretty much done for you. That's what they say.
What's his story kind of like? His story kind of reminds me of Derrick Rose, man. Wasn't Derrick Rose kept getting his Achilles hurt or something?
Well, see, Derrick Rose, and I'm glad you mentioned Derrick Rose, because D. Rose kept suffering a lot of injuries over several years, but he never had an Achilles injury.
Oh.
But because of his health and I guess the way his body is and everything, and the way he trained and everything, and conditioning, he would just get injury after injury after injury. He bounced back so far. He's bounced back. But that Achilles injury, man, I want to kind of highlight it a little bit because I found some research today and to give you some insight on what happens when you have an Achilles injury for basketball. You know, it's pretty much the tendon that connects the calf to the heel bones. It's pretty much the big part of your leg. Like, it's gonna give you the burst that a lot of NBA players need, that bounce that a lot of NBA players need. You know, the Achilles tendon, it goes down to your heel bone. And it's designed to stretch and to absorb the force from when an athlete jumps or when they need that bounce, and it gives you the power off of that push that I was talking about when you're running. Because if you remember KD, once he took that step on his plant foot, that's when we saw the Achilles pop.
I think I might have a slight Achilles injury wrong with me.
Do you?
I may, man.
Man, you need to get that looked at.
So are you done explaining?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much, the gist of an Achilles injury,
So, what sports can you tie Achilles injuries with besides basketball, football?
Oh man, I mean it can happen in any sport.
Any sport? Okay.
But
It can happen. It can happen in the sport of the man cave. You
It can.
be walking to your man cave or down the steps, and you can rupture your Achilles.
yeah, you can tear your ACL. Like these are not uncommon injuries to everyday people. It's people that have these injuries too as well. But that was a good question, EJ. But when it comes to sports, you get it a lot from the sports where it's based off of a lot of speed and a lot of athleticism.
Boxing?
Football, basketball, possibly soccer. I don't know too many injuries in hockey where someone has torn their Achilles, but I can see how it can possibly happen. It's just I think they would be a little bit more protected because they have on skates.
Yeah, that'd be more ankles.
That's my my gut feeling on that. But it can happen in a lot of high impact sports,
Right.
like basketball. And a lot of people have been saying Boogie is done. So I'm bringing it to the table because Jay and I, we have gone back and forth about Boogie. He was actually the one that first said Boogie was done. Despite the whole him going to Golden State and all of that fun stuff, he said Boogie was done. So Jay, torn ACL in the offseason. Third injury, 2 years.
Oh man! First of all, let's go back a little bit. Boogie
down.
Boogie injured himself, correct? But before he got injured with the Pelicans, he wanted out of, I was going to say Kansas City.
Sacramento?
He wanted out of Sacramento. So check this out. This is part of the reason why these guys say they want more money or they want to be traded or I want out of here because Sacramento pretty much used what we say. He was on retreaded tires, correctly?
Yeah.
Used tires. So the second dimension of this is the Lakers may be cursed. LeBron may be cursed. LeBron may be cursed because everything he touches turns to poop.
Like what? Like, come on. I know he's a coach killer.
Like he's a coach killer. Kevin Love didn't start battling injuries until he got with LeBron. And I mean, it's a couple things that goes on that maybe LeBron has just peaked out and he's not going to do nothing more than what's going to happen because he has to have a loaded team. So as far as Cousins being done, man, it looks pretty grim right now. Some of these guys have these injuries and they turn into jump shooters. Man, I don't know what's up. I don't know where to take this with Cousins, man, because you can't keep having as many lower leg injuries to the lower extremity part. That's vital to a basketball player. Now, if he was hitting 2-0 sliders, I would give him a chance.
That's vital. That's vital to everyday normal life, man.
Yeah, so he may be. I think he rushed back too early from the ACL, from the first ACL.
He pulled a KD.
I think he came back too early because he didn't seem. I mean, it takes some time to get into the game, get in the rhythm, maybe a couple weeks. But to me, he just never seemed like he was 100% healthy.
He definitely showcased, as I was doing my research today, signs of post Achilles injury because
Absolutely.
sometimes he would go out there and have that burst. He would have that burst, and he would do well because it was I want to say the second game he played during the NBA playoffs this past playoff run with the Warriors. He had a pretty solid game. He looked like he could be coming back around to his old self. But the other games, it was like, wow, he looks slow. He looks as if he can't move. He doesn't have any burst. He's not getting down the floor like he usually does or like he did pre-Achilles injury. But I'm going to go and say, without a doubt, I'm convinced that he's done. I'm convinced, man. Because I was on social media talking to TRP Nation. Shout out TRP Nation. You guys are awesome on Facebook. And we were just sitting there saying, a lot of us in the group were saying, it's time for Boogie to retire. I just can't see him bouncing back from this, man, because he's not the most athletic guy. You look at some guys and you say, well, hey, they're gym rats. It looked like they know how to condition and train their body. I'm not saying Boogie's fat. Nobody's saying that. But Boogie is big for an NBA guy, is he not?
He is.
He kind of got that Carmelo big to himself, and Carmelo could pull back from the table or pull away from one of the cheeseburgers he eats annually. At least one.
He kind of had got his weight under control.
He did better,
and before he went to New Orleans.
Yeah, he did better once he got to New Orleans. Because now when Boogie came in to the NBA, when he was drafted with the 5th overall pick by the Kings, he no doubt was questionable where people said, hey, this guy is going to have to sculpt his body. And he's come a long way since then.
Mm-hmm.
He could go further, though. I mean, let's just be real. He could go further. He could be in better shape. But, Jay, you did mention that, it's other guys that have suffered the injury or the Achilles injury, the kiss of death. That's what we're going to call it this episode, the kiss of death to the NBA player, man. Let's take a look at some of the other guys that have suffered Achilles injuries, and let's just look. A lot of us, we're going to know what type of player they were. But we're going to look at how old they were and then kind of what they did afterwards. And first man up is Rudy Gay. Rudy Gay played for Memphis all of those years. And then in 2017, tore his Achilles, age 30. Was during the winter. And before the injury, Rudy was getting 34 minutes per game. 19 points, career high efficiency figures. And then after the injury, Rudy has gone down. He doesn't play a lot of minutes per game. He's only averaging like 14.7 rebounds. At one point, Rudy, if I'm not mistaken, was up there above 25 points per game.
14.7 rebounds.
14 points. 7 rebounds.
Oh, okay. I was going to
per
say,
game.
What?
Yeah, I mean, at one point in time, man, that's all you heard was Rudy Gay, man. Like, he was balling.
But what was his numbers prior to the, because I thought his game had started kind of going south before the injury.
It had started going, I wouldn't say it was going south. It went stale. It went stale when he was out in Memphis. I don't have the exact figures up while he was in Memphis, but I know now he's only averaging 14 points, 7 rebounds. That's not much for a guy.
Not at all.
That's not much for a guy that was getting over 25 points per game. This guy was leading his team. That's Rudy. We can't forget about the most notable name, Kobe. Now, Kobe was 34 years old.
He had dinosaur years.
He did have dinosaur years. Because another thing that I think a lot of
Kobe
people...
Source.
2-4 wasn't 2-4 no more. He had some age on him. And, I think a lot of our listeners and a lot of people in the sports world, they forget that these aren't 22-year-old players when you talk about Kobe, LeBron, KG, Tracy McGrady. These guys have been playing in the NBA since they were 18.
Mm-hmm.
So at age 34, man, he has, 15 years in the game?
And been playing basketball all their lives, too, so you got to count that.
They've been playing it all their lives. They've been playing high-impact basketball since AAU, which is 14 years old. And then once you're under the national radar in high school, man, you've been hooping on the varsity level since you were 14, 15 years old. So Kobe had a significant amount of tread on his tires, as Jay would say.
Mm-hmm.
Those tires were bald.
But again, before the injury, Kobe, 27.3 points, 46% shooting. After the injury, it says Bryant played 6, 35, and 66 games in the next 3 seasons before retiring. He averaged 19 points on just 37% shooting. How far did he fall down, man? And again, he was fading anyway.
Yeah, he was starting to bounce right.
That Achilles injury, how different did Kobe look after that Achilles injury? Because I remember
he looked totally different. But I would like
he
to
lost
see
a step and a half.
He lost 3 steps in half.
Yeah.
So I would like to see the Achilles injury to a young player.
Okay, so hey, here we are on the list. So if you're an NBA aficionado, if you're a statistician, if you follow the NBA, if you're one of the old heads out there, I'm going to pull this name out. And this guy was one of my favorite players. I thought he was very versatile. He played with the Clippers, and then I can't even remember where he ended up going after that. Oh, he played with the Rockets as well. Maurice Taylor. Mo Taylor. You remember Mo Taylor?
Yeah.
All right, so he was averaging 14 points, 5 rebounds in his first 4 seasons.
Before injury?
Yeah, you got to remember that. 28 points is a lot. Yeah.
Okay, back then, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
but 14 points, 5 boards, that's pretty solid for a guy that was only 24, Jay. You wanted a young one. He was only 24. Because everybody else that I listed, they're going to 30. Boogie is 29. I think he'll be 30 by the conclusion of the next NBA season. After the injury with Mo Taylor, back to Mo Taylor, he never reached those numbers again. He averaged just 8 points. But he did play, 286 more games. But he had become just a serviceable bench player, man. It happens to these guys. Brandon Jennings is on the list. Brandon Jennings, it happened when he was 26. Now, Brandon Jennings has a questionable career anyway. You know, he thought he was more than what he was. Went to the McDonald's high school All-American game. Had big numbers. Had a lot of following. Everybody was all over Brandon Jennings. He said, "I'm not going to college," because that's when they had the 1-year rule in place.
Yeah.
He said, "I'm not going to college. I'm gonna go overseas and play." He went overseas and played, and everybody was like, not that impressive guy. He got into the NBA draft, still was a high pick. I believe he was a lottery pick, if I'm not mistaken. And he's never reached the level of play where you say, hey, this guy could be big time. But hey, let's take a look at him. Before the injury, Jennings, he was playing with Milwaukee. He was playing with Detroit. He was a backup point guard and may have been headed out the league anyway. He was 26 years old. But since 2015, Jennings had 2 stints that equaled over just 81 games, man. And he never really got off the bench. He never really played like that. You wanted some young guys. I gave it to you, Jay.
Yeah, but I still want to see a young man. I'm saying
18, 19, 20.
18, 19, because those are really the numbers that's important because I mean, at the end of the day, if I go out here and we're talking about next week, guys, I'll be 39 years old. So if I go out here and sprain my thumb, it's gonna take it forever to heal.
Yeah.
But if I was young and sprained my thumb, man, in 2 days I'm ready to go back at it. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying. Now I totally agree with you on everything, the injury. The big key who just had the Achilles injury would be KD. Because KD is right now,
He should be like right at 30.
he's right at 30. But right now, it is no other basketball player on the planet
That was that high.
that's playing at his level and has been playing at that level at his age and had the injury.
Right.
So we're talking about our Michael Jordan, our Scottie Pippen, this era, having that injury and seeing how he plays off of it, because he's unstoppable right now. So if he comes back and he is 70% of KD, 60%, then we need to go find a doctor who can correct his injury.
Well, the only two players that have been on KD's level of play was Kobe, and Kobe was 34, but they've been playing since 18. And the one anomaly that kind of survived the Achilles injury is Dominique, the highlight reel himself. Dominique was one of the dunk masters of his generation.
Sure was.
Dominique is still talked about in any gym that you go into where you see somebody rising up, cranking on the rim. Dominique is without a legend. Do we agree? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he drank pickle juice.
He must have done something. January 1992, age 32, Dominique. That's when he tore his Achilles. And it says, he was a strange case, and perhaps, injury happened a while ago, because medicine was different then, too.
Mm-hmm.
Medicine has progressed to where the Achilles injury can be managed a lot better and rehabbed a lot better nowadays. He did this in 1992. And he was one of the most dominant players in 1992. No player has ever recovered from an Achilles injury the way that he did. After the Achilles injury, he averaged 28 points and nearly 7 boards on 45% shooting. His career eventually declined.
Yeah, because of age.
At age 35. But age 33, 34, he was a monster. 35, it was going to happen. That's why we didn't harp on Kobe too tough. But he survived the injury. Like, what was it that Dominique did? Because whatever he did, whomever his doctors were, maybe he just had it in his blood. Maybe it's just in his DNA. Because some guys are freaks like that. Look at LeBron. I can testify to all of my years of watching sports and all of my history of learning about sports and athletes over all sports throughout history. There's been nobody like LeBron James.
Has he ever gotten hurt or torn it?
LeBron
Achilles?
has never really had an injury, man. Just being hurt. Because, you have hurt, then you have injury.
Well, okay, injury.
But he's never really been injured. Am I right, Jay?
You're correct.
Yeah.
So what separates him from these other players? What is the recipe or the formula that LeBron has?
God.
Facts.
I mean,
it's big time.
He's God of the basketball court.
It's God of the basketball court. It's the higher being up in the sky God. It's just in his DNA. Because, that's like Tom Brady, to kind of switch it over to a different sport. Tom Brady is, 42, 43?
Mm-hmm. He up there.
And I think he's trademarked his workout regimen as TB12. The guy doesn't really eat. He works out. He just takes in nutrients, kicks out all the body fat. LeBron is similar. LeBron is one of those gym rats that I was talking about earlier. He works out. He conditions his body. You know, some of these guys, Boogie Cousins, Brandon Jennings, Mo Taylor was a little chubby.
Yeah,
He was a little chubby.
to be a basketball player.
And you know, and the tale of the Achilles injury says it usually happened to males around, you know, in the age range of 40 to 60 years old. But if you're putting that on an NBA body, an athlete
That almost
constantly
cut that in half.
right.
Yeah.
So if they get to age 30, because if you notice the trend when I was reading, most of these guys mid 20s, early 30s, that's when they rupture that Achilles.
That goes back to high mileage on their bodies.
High
I
mileage.
mean, I mean, because the average man, and I'm glad you told me that because I just recently retired from
The court.
Blacktop basketball, the rec basketball. I just recently retired. So, because I was having some lower body injuries.
You can feel an Achilles before it pops.
Yes, and I said, you know what? I think it's time for me to give it up because I can still play. Doesn't mean I need to play.
Facts.
So, at the same time, I do believe that is a excruciating injury to the lower part of your body.
Yeah.
But I am just curious. I just keep saying I want to see
A young
what
guy.
it does to a younger guy.
It would be interesting. Of course, you know, we don't wish injury on anyone. I feel Jay on it, though.
So real quick, what was wrong with Penny Hardaway?
Penny had
The microfracture.
Yeah, he had the junk in his knee, basically. He had the junk in his knee that Brandon Roy had.
So why you don't see that really come up that often? Because I think the last person who had the microfracture surgery was Amari Stoudemire, correct?
I think Amari had the junk in his knee. I think he had junk in his knee. It's not so much as the microfracture surgery, because a lot of guys have knee scoping and stuff it happens routinely, you know, throughout the year for not just one player, but it happens for a lot of guys where, you know, a doctor comes in and say, hey, we noticed a little something in your knee. It's better to go ahead and do this now than to let it progress and then possibly become something more. Penny, Brandon Roy, possibly Amari Stoudemire. I got to look that up, but you make a good point about Amari Stoudemire. These guys, it was genetics. It was in the blood work. It was in their DNA. It was in their genes. And I'm not talking about in the pocket. I'm talking about in the bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
It was there. Because I remember Brandon Roy. I wanted Orlando to draft Brandon Roy so bad. I think that was the draft where either we took J.J. Redick or we took Reese Gaines. And we had an opportunity. Yeah, it just didn't work out either way, really. J.J. turned out to be all right, though. But I wanted Brandon Roy so bad, but Brandon Roy was sliding down the draft board, EJ. I mean, he was sliding down. This guy was, without a doubt, a top 2-3 talent. And he started sliding down the draft board, and everyone said, well, hey, the word in the NBA realm, in the gyms, is that Brandon Roy has a dirty knee. The knee is going to blow out. He's not going to be able to do anything with it. He's going to have a short career. If, or rather when it happens, it's going to be the end. He was soaring high. This thing that Dame Lillard is doing with the Blazers, Brandon Roy did it already. Mm-hmm. He was that guy. And lo and behold, he had the Penny Hardaway injury. Off season came and they was like, yeah, man, you're going to have to do that surgery. It's going to keep you out for a year. Then they kept him out another year. And then he finally came back to play in the playoffs, 2 years later? And it was heartbreaking, man. It's one of the most heartbreaking scenes I've ever seen in sports, period. He played the game. I think he won. He hit the game-winning shot. His teammates knew. Coaches knew. He knew. Everyone knew. He just burst out in tears crying after the game because he was so happy to come back and finally be able to contribute. But he also knew that it was the end.
Why was it the end?
he just couldn't have any burst in his knee. Playing that little bit of time, it was just a playoff series, I think, and he wasn't even starting. Playing that little bit of time, he knew that his body couldn't go, his knee couldn't go anymore. His career was done.
So what prompted me to stop playing was, and this is what this was what was so scary to me when I watched KD, because I was playing basketball and I went up for a layup. I missed the layup. I got the putback. I hit the putback, and upon coming down, it felt like someone had threw something at my leg, and I looked down. And of course, I felt a little tightness and there was nothing there, and I continued to run. But upon coming back down the floor, that's when I couldn't run anymore. And of course, I didn't have any surgeries. I'm not an NBA player, so it wasn't that magnitude to me. I could still walk around, but playing basketball was becoming more of
a strain,
and I was less explosive.
Right.
Which means if that does that to me, it has to be significant to these guys. Because KD came in, and I think if KD would have just continued to just shoot jump shots, he could have played. But the minute he tried to go between the legs and make a move,
yeah, I remember that.
Then it happened.
I remember that. Yep.
So and that brought back memories to me, because I would go out on the floor and I would say, it's no more jumping up around the rim, getting rebounds, and all of that extra stuff. I would just stand around, play good defense, and shoot jump shots. And that's what KD reminded me of until he put that ball down and tried to plant, and he came back out. So that's why I said maybe I have a Achilles problem.
It's possible.
Because it was significantly sore.
Yeah. I mean, it's I felt my Achilles be sore. You know, it's a strange feeling, because it's almost a feeling as if you've been up on your feet all day. It feels as if you're tired, like your leg is tired, your back of your heel is tired. But that's your Achilles, ladies and gentlemen. If you feel that, and mostly gentlemen, from the research, it said most ladies don't suffer it. Thank God, because that would be devastating to women in sports who already are underpaid. So I think, to wrap things up on the whole injury talk, I'm not sure about Boogie. But I will say that I think that what's going on with Boogie, what's been going on with Boogie, is stemming from that Achilles. And I just think that his body, he hasn't done the things that he should be doing or could be doing. I shouldn't say should. The things he could be doing to learn how to use his body post Achilles injury. Because it's not the same body anymore. Your legs are everything to the average human. If your feet stop working for the average human that's up on their feet all day, 8 hours, you can't work anymore.
Right.
If you're a driver, you can't work anymore. If you just like to go out for physical fitness, you can't do that anymore. Your legs are everything. Your feet are everything. So to an NBA player, it's absolutely, without a doubt, everything. And I don't think he has transitioned his body to deal with the blown tire that he had in his Achilles. So I think that's where it's stemming from for Boogie. As for KD, I don't know, man. It says here that now with recent sports medicine, an Achilles can heal in, 6 to 8 months, rather than 9 to 12 that it usually took some years ago. Given that, by the time KD plays again, he should be, 20 months removed from his injury, maybe? Like 18 to 20 months. It's going to be interesting to see how the injury of KD goes and the rehab, and if he can bounce back, because if he can, it'll just be him and Dominique. But switching gears, have a little fun. Cool.
Yeah, I hope. Well, before
go ahead. Man.
Yeah, I just hope that he don't rush it. Like the team, he's still with the Warriors, right? He's still with the Warriors.
Nah, he's with the Nets now.
The Nets. Oh wow.
Yeah, man, moves
Okay.
have happened. Yeah,
I
yeah.
missed that memo.
You got to get the 2K game this year, man. You
Okay.
got to.
Yeah, shout out 2K. Yeah, so you know what? See,
Plug.
yeah. So see, with that being said, I hope that they won't rush him back on the court because now that I know that he's with the Nets, he's needed.
He's gotten a huge payday.
He's
They're
needed.
not going to rush.
Yeah, he's needed over there. But I hope that they really let him take his time and let him really recover from the injury because you know he rushed and get back on that court too soon and he hurt that thing again, man. Jesus Lord, it's
over.
It's over.
It's over.
Kind of like Luke Kuechly, man. Luke Kuechly's like 2 or 3 concussions from
2.
maybe 2
95. He's one.
from pretty much
He's one from everybody saying it might be time.
yeah, from hanging up that helmet, man. I mean, he's one of the most explosive linebackers there is right now. So yeah,
And I mean, just to be honest with you, coming from a former football player, man, it's not worth it for you to sit around with Jello brain.
It's no, it's not.
It's not worth it. You know, I mean, because it's life after football, and that time goes by so fast. And then you looking at it, and just imagine, like, you have guys that retired at 34, 35, and we're in our 30s. So imagine us sitting around at 30 with Jello head.
That's an episode that we should do.
Mhm.
We actually, at my job, we talked to the previous or a former quarterback for the Winston-Salem State University Rams, and he had to retire from college ball because of concussions. And just to hear his tale, man, he said that he's like partially colorblind because of concussions. He said some days he wakes up and he just cries. He doesn't even know why. You just cry. You get emotional. Nowhere, because Luke Kuechly and some of the other guys that suffer concussion, they just cry right when they hit it. And it's just interesting to see these injuries in sports, man. But that's for another topic.
should break them all to the role players.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. You read my mind. But before we close this out, I gotta have a little fun. And
Yeah, we gotta lighten the mood a little bit.
And let's talk about Mr. Taco Tuesday himself.
Taco Tuesday.
You already know. Taco Tuesday. So that's what I want to talk about. A lot of people are saying that's racist. LeBron doing the Taco Tuesday thing, they say it's ridiculous. They say it's him being attention thirsty. They say, I feel them because now Taco Tuesday has turned into a thing. But I'm going to just ask, have you seen it, Jay? The Taco Tuesday LeBron?
I have not seen Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, I seen it on Instagram and Twitter.
Okay, EJ, do you like it?
Yeah, but I like it, man. But I mean, Taco Tuesday has always been a thing. Like even Mr. 45 was tweeting about Taco Tuesday, and he even took a picture in his office with a big old taco bowl. I mean, Taco Tuesday has always been a thing. It's just for the fact that somebody with a platform or LeBron is saying it. Now everybody got something to say.
Hey, let's clarify this. 45 is attention thirsty himself.
Yeah, but I'm just saying Taco Tuesday has always been a thing.
It has always been a thing. I like the Taco Tuesday thing. I would like to see a LeBron discount or something for Taco Tuesday. I like it. And maybe Moe's or Chipotle or some Mexican restaurant or something, man. I like Taco Tuesday. I like it, man. I don't think it's racist. I was reading a Twitter feed where they were asking, it was a lot of people from the Latino community speaking on it, and they was like, we don't care.
You know what?
Like, we don't care. Like, we don't think that that's racist or offensive to Hispanic Americans.
You know what? That's funny you said that. 'Cause I remember I was watching something. It was like on YouTube or something where they talk about how people dress for Halloween in different cultures, and they talk about how our people from another color will wear like Hispanic, like the big old sombreros or stuff like that. And they asked the Hispanics, "Are y'all offended by that?" They're like, "No, we don't care." honestly, thank you for coming to the store. Like,
Yeah.
like they're man, they are so cool. They are not really offended by a lot of stuff that people think they're offended by. They're really not. They don't care.
So let's say if Taco Tuesday is for Mexican food, so would you be offended if Wednesdays, because at Winston State University, Wednesdays is chicken day.
Chicken Wednesday.
Okay, so hey, here we go.
Chicken
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
So if Bryce Harper, because he's a huge sports guy for sports. So if Bryce Harper start coming on Instagram and be like, hey, yo, it's Chicken Wednesday, bang, 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 shoot 'em up. Got to get my chicken, yo.
All right, now wait a minute. Who's Bryce Harper?
He plays for the Phillies. He
$300 million
$300 million man. You can never forget Bryce Harper. And never forget Bryce Harper.
Is he
He's white.
white?
Yeah.
Oh, so if he was to say that,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be bothered, and I'll tell you why. Because I know that chicken is very unseasoned.
Is that really you?
Some people may say that was racist.
Racist. That's what they're gonna say. Or if the Chick-fil-A cow come out to 50 Cent, you can find me in the club, and then he pull up, he have on a backwards hat, and then the sign be like, eat more chicken, yo. For sure though.
I mean, they kind of mark it off of us anyway, so whatever.
Who, Chick-fil-A?
No, I'm just talking
I was
about.
about to say.
I'm just talking about the things that we do in our culture. It's already markable by other people, so it'll just be another day in the life. Oh well. It
So
wouldn't bother me.
So since we're on that real fast, races and equality.
Equality. That's that
Did you all
word.
see the WNBA fight?
Unity.
I did not.
Oh wow,
That wasn't really a fight.
It was a scuffle.
it was a
It
scuffle.
was a scuffle.
That's for women though.
It was a little scuffle.
I think the word scuffle is funny.
It was a little. Put him up. That girl was tall though, man. Somebody should have threw a chair at her.
Brittany was in a fight?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I gotta see. How did I miss this? When did
Yeah.
this happen?
Ooh,
Like Tuesday.
yeah. This was recent.
So you brought it up for equality. What happened?
I mean, it was a scuffle, but they was suspended heavily.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Oh,
if that would have
I
happened
see
in a
what he's
man's
saying.
game,
Yeah.
and if that would have happened in a man's NBA game, you'd have said 6-7 games for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's unladylike to be fighting.
But they want to be treated equal.
Yeah, they want that pay.
Yeah.
They want that pay.
And like he said, that's why I say, did you see the fight? And what's the first thing he said? A scuffle.
Yeah.
It was a scuffle.
Well,
But-
yeah,
She kept going after that young lady.
when women fight, women are savage, man.
Oh, she was.
Women are
Oh, yeah.
savage, and then they don't have the same issues. Well, we don't have the issues that they have when we fight. A guy's shirts come off. If a guy's shirt come off, so be it. A woman's shirt come off.
Yeah.
You got to be like Peter Griffin and say, "It's my site." Hey guys, this has been an excellent show. We've talked about the talk about of the role players. Check out this episode and many, many more on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Castbox, and home of the role players, Spreaker. Do not forget the opportunity to join our fantasy football league. That's right, we are doing fantasy football. It's going to be a huge and excellent time. We're probably going to have another live draft out at Twin Peaks. Hopefully our man Tej is still in the house. Check us out, man. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We will chop it up with you. Throw us some questions. Make it tough for us. We love the toughness. We're going to go ahead and close out this episode with Mr. Philosophical J, I-95 South, and me, your boy, Byron, a.k.a. B. Knox, a.k.a. B. Tilly. I have a lot of words of wisdom, as they call me.
Yeah.
And the wisest word I'm going to say is out.